Hello. Welcome to Black Metal and Brews, a program in which I talk to my computer screen. We're going to give it a minute while everybody shows up, and I'm going to grab the mail that I didn't think to bring closer to me while I wait for you all to actually come hang out. So, no pressure. Look at all that mail. Wow. Oh, and I have viewers now. Hi, guys. It's good to see you all. It literally said I had 0 viewers a second ago, and now I have a few. What a flattering change of pace. Okay. Well, you can tell I'm really on top of it today. I don't even know where I set my keys that I usually use to open my mail. So I got a hello, a hi, and a howdy. I feel like that's just like when you get I got a little tic-tac-toe just now of kindnesses. So thank you. And a hi. Wow, everyone's here, and it's all people I love. Glad to see you all. Oh boy, wow, everybody. Hello, lovely. You're all lovely, and it's lovely to have you here. Tonight, obviously, I'm sure some of you saw, following some very, very lovely visitors we had, I thought it would be important to be more direct in addressing certain issues that we have. God, my room looks like such a mess. Wait, what even is that? Wait, oh, it's this. I'm getting used to the new setup and how everything looks in here. It's the chair that I'm sitting in. I'm like, there's some white thing just sticking up behind me. It looks messy. So go figure. As some of you know, we had a troll the other night, a harmless troll, but I realized that in my quest for being judicious, I don't often make it explicitly clear that I will not tolerate bigotry. I will not tolerate intolerance. While I'm a very political person, the show does not have to be political, but it is important to me that we create a space where we build community. And community is not built by those who would exclude. And so, this is a pretty open platform, but if your beliefs are exclusionary, then you're not part of this. Plain and simple. So, with that in mind, we're going to put on a lovely tape. We're going to open some mail. Just while we let everybody mill in, as it were, I realize we're going to open a beer. Of course, I have a beer. I drink beer. You might have heard about this. This is one of the most beautiful tapes I've ever fucking heard. I'm working on the lighting here. I'm setting up string lights in my room, but I haven't yet. This is look at that kind of woodcut looking thing. Interesting little tape box. At least one viewer here probably has this and knows what this is. This is Nemorensis. And if you can't spell it, don't worry, or pronounce it, Nemorensis with the Fey Queen. Absolutely just gorgeous, gorgeous stuff, released by Sol y Nieve. I have tape 20 of 25 here. I don't have words for the kind of music this is. I just love it. So, we are going to listen to The Fey Queen. It's a beautiful, beautiful little tape. When it finds us, Breath, Elysium, The Green Sea Part 2, and The Fey Queen. I can't speak highly enough of most of Sol y Nieve's releases anyway, but this one in particular is really special. I'm not sure how we will fare with me sitting directly in front of the boombox like this. This is not a sound system like I used to have. This is a boombox. So bear with me. Thank you. And you're all watching live, so if you are in the comments here, yes, please tell me, is it too loud, is it too quiet, am I too loud, am I annoying, would you like me to be someone else, who can I be today for you? Let me know. I have a very fancy craft beer here called Bitburger. It's what happens when we go to Rite Aid to get our beer, because time is short and we're tired. The Beer Jesus. Hello to you too. I'm letting you down, Beer Jesus. I don't really have a special beer. I have the beer that I was able to get my hands on. That said, I mean, Bitburger is completely serviceable Pilsner, but we're not even going to bother with the pour. The Fest beer, I haven't had the Fest beer, but I should. Probably somewhere that's not the fucking Rite Aid. We don't exactly look to Rite Aid as our beer store, unless we're buying beer 45 minutes before the show like I did. Hell yeah, Black Death and thrash metal are all things that are worth your while. I mean, to be fair, at least from my opinion, in that order. I guess that's predictable, though. Well, the nice thing about beers like this is you can drink them awfully quickly, maybe too quickly. Be careful, be safe, be smart. It's not like we're, running a race. It's just a beer to enjoy. So, all right. Delicious. I've taken a couple of sips. We're gonna fucking set this guy aside, and we're gonna now do the mailbag portion of this thing, because we're this is like one of those, what is it, the hall videos they're called or whatever, where posers must leave the hall. Bitburger is just clean. The hop profile may be too herbal for some. Yeah, it's a pretty direct thing, and yeah, like that. And yeah, Chris, how are you even on YouTube in the shower, dude? Like, what the? You're living a much more vibrant life than I could. Whose Oktoberfest are you drinking? Tell me. So my first package here, as you can see, it's vinyl. We got Jesus fucking Christ. I have no idea where I set my keys. I'm sure they're right here, and I just don't know. This is from Minneapolis, and I'm a fool, so I actually have. Well, so much for that. I've killed the pen that I was using to do that. Maybe I can. Oh no, that's shot. Okay, we're throwing this pen out. Whatever. We're having real life experiences here. We're learning from our mistakes as we go. Hacker Shores. Yeah. What about those groups? I mean, they are. I know both of them, but I'm not intimately familiar with either of those bands that you've listed. Perhaps I should be. It's very easy for us to get caught up in things and forget. I mean, there are thousands of bands even in this sub-genre, so I shouldn't beat myself up for what I don't know, but I still feel an obligation to develop an encyclopedic understanding. Oh, those are okay. That's what the tie is. So now this has come to us from Minneapolis, and we now have. I'm actually not sure what I'm looking at here. Oh, there we go. Hell yeah. Death Hymn. Okay. This is the fucking. Yeah, the bands are not from Minnesota, but the label is. First, we're drinking an Austin Beer Works Montecore Oktoberfest. Back to the water, beer on the towel rack. That sounds great. Your showers sound more relaxing than my baths. Excited you told Grom Records today to get their permission to play material. Oh, that's great. Promo packages rule. Uh, so this is the Hand of Glory Enshroud split. Uh, Hand of Glory being one of the premier, I think, most compelling, really uncomfortable, in a great way, black metal bands in the United States. Solo project from an incredibly talented individual. Uh, full bias here. Somebody I consider a friend. We're not going to out them because it's one of those things where many of us know the identity, but just as many don't, I believe. Look at this shit. This is serious grimness. There's the Hand of Glory image and the Enshroud image. And Enshroud is, I believe, is Australia or New Zealand. I'm one of those horrible Americans that's just like, oh, these two islands, the huge islands, to be fair, in that region, I confuse them not because of anything other than just they're very far away and I'm forgetful. Oh wow, and this is some geeky stuff. This is mastered by Travis Nordahl, which he had this band called John. John, you're watching still, I hope. Was he an Almagest? Was that him? Or was he an whatever it is? But yeah, so good. Yeah, this stuff. This is going to be absolutely depraved sounding, dense, difficult black metal, and I'm all about that. I'll show you the logo, as it were. You know, I feel like I've seen that name, but Astrial. That's the beautiful and frustrating thing about being in a subgenre is like this passing awareness of things and a failure to fully engage and memorize it all. Because even like the center label, like you got Hand of Glory looking super spooky and kind of diseased, and then Enshroud doing the exact same, spooky and kind of sickly. I love it. I'm all about it. It's wonderful. Uh, there's all sorts of stuff here. I gotta say, Hand of Glory is one of this logo. It's hard to see because I'm using a webcam. That Hand of Glory logo. It really reminds me of the Nuit Noir logo, like that classic, like that sort of gates, like which Nuit Noir being, of course, one of the greatest, in my mind, black metal bands in existence. Obviously, a very unique take on the genre, but I love their logo being gates. It makes you feel like you're entering something special when you put on one of their records. So this is the album art. I realized that the record was in the way, and and then here's the back. So I don't know if these are even still available for order, but this is. I haven't heard it, and I'm sure it's essential. It's one of those sorts of situations. Like, I'm very excited to give this a listen. We're just gonna put this back in the sleeve. I'm not gonna try and put it all into the record thing. I'm so afraid of damaging something. In fact, I'm just gonna set this aside for now. We'll bother with the details later. Because again, I don't want to damage anything. Gonna take a second, have a sip of beer. Real professional, real exciting here. Again, if anybody's got anything of their own to share, drink you're having, any thoughts, you're always welcome to chime in, and we'll put you on the screen if you'd like, and yeah. In terms of the about look, I mean, I don't think there's a wrong way to do it. I both love uh, black metal makeup and also find it absurd. Uh, so it's one of those things. And hey, welcome. Glad to have had you. Come back anytime. We're all always here. Uh, I am utterly exhausted. So I'm certainly not my most vibrant form tonight. But thank you for being here and for being part of the conversation. It's wonderful to have some company while we explore these realms. It's a weird little world, isn't it? So next up is a huge box. This one came from here in New York. Thank you for that. I'm always up for kindness. I try to know my shit, but I also am humbled in that I realize I will never know enough. I think that's what drives me in this ridiculous quest. It does feel very Friday this Friday. I feel like I barely made it. I am exhausted. I was exhausted when I woke up, and I had 2 coffees, and I still, I don't know. I'm not, I'm just, what is sleep? Is it ever actually restful? So this big old package, I know this came from Art of Fact, which is, and Storming the Base. It's a Icelandic based, but also, American based. Obviously, this package came from New York, but the label is headquartered in Iceland, and they do everything, all manner of genres. Boy, whoa, we just got a lot. I think underground mix. Yeah, exactly. We can always burrow deeper, better or worse. I don't judge if somebody's got a surface level understanding. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm just a geek, and I'm fully aware it's geeky. It's not a source of pride. It's just what it is. Jaden, that sounds like you had a very relaxing time. I hope it's relaxing. Chris, your last day of work before paid time off. Dude, yeah, your beer must taste much better. And how's that? Oh, I mean, yeah. But, I mean, they're making a living off of selling, coal black metal. I can't say I'm making a living doing this. Kira, that sounds wonderful. Panopticon is so good. I got to, some of you know, I got to do a panel with some of the members of Panopticon at Roadburn a couple years ago. It's still one of the coolest things I've ever done in my life. I've already peaked. Like, this is, you're watching The Descent. Hell yeah, Panopticon. And you have a bunch of artifacts. So a lot of the industrial posts, yeah, Frontline Assembly is great. And this is the thing, like, they have everything from like Cloud Rat to Frontline Assembly. That rules, right? What I have here is more on that side of the spectrum. This is very well taped, so it's going to take me a second to open. There we are. Oh, I love when it comes together more or less easily like that. So I'm a clown. I truly did think I ordered a bundle with a shirt and a record and stuff, but in retrospect, I definitely did not. I just got this record. This is the new record from local post-punk darkwave act Bootblacks. And as you can see, the lighting is making that sleeve really reflect a lot. So, oh geez, yeah, we're not going to get a good shot of this. It's going to look better like that almost. Beautiful album art. Just when we're through here, I'll post a link to this in the video description, so people watching after the fact may actually have an easier time. if you know me, you've heard me talk about this band. I just think they're wonderful. They're obviously very far removed from black metal, but at the same time, they they're very dear to my heart. It's very in a genre that I feel is so often cold and disconnected. I feel like they are an incredibly human, emotive band. Uh, Also, there's so little ingenuity in most of post punk, and I feel like they are actually doing something interesting. And instead of sounding like they heard Joy Division, or even worse, that they heard Interpol, and thought, "Oh, I could do that." Uh, it's not just some disaffected people shrugging their shoulders and wearing a nice black shirt, which I really appreciate. I think they're beautiful music. So I'm really happy to have this. I got this a minute ago, but I only open my mail for you. I don't. I mean, to be fair, I don't have a turntable right now. The joys of moving into a new home. Yeah, and that's sweet. You all are on the level. Compile. Uh, Listening to Bootblacks today, yeah, it's so good. I've been asked, did I pick up the Gizm reissue today? Do we say Gizm, Gism, Gism? I don't know. I'm a poser. I don't know these things. So the answer is yes. Yes, I did. Look at this. It's like creamsicle colored record. And it has such static cling, I'm never going to be able to put it back in the sleeve. Oh my goodness. That's just never happening. It worked wonderfully, actually. Never mind. So, yes, oh gosh, this thing is coming apart. That is a shame, but it happens to the best of us. I will find a way of. I'll put you back together. Our love will endure. Um, so yes, I picked up the reissue, but I'm a clown, and when I was trying to get the tape, I got a record instead. So I and then I realized what I had done, and didn't feel like reordering or canceling or paying for shipping twice. So I'm just gonna get the record, and I talked to a couple of local record stores today because I was out selling records to those record stores, and it looks like stores are just gonna have the tape in stock anyway. So I'll buy the tape when it gets somewhere so I can actually listen to it. Also, I don't need more vinyl. Take my vinyl. I mean, I don't need more tapes either, but that's one where it's like, okay, this is an undeniable classic, uh, licensed, legally for the first time ever in the United States. I should have that and listen to it once before shelving and just being glad I have it. So that's our mail. We've opened the mail. The mailman has come and gone, and I am alone, as I always am. You are here with me. Thank you. I'm so glad that you're here. So now I don't have any detritus in my way. Not to call beautiful music detritus, but I do feel like it's a kind of a distraction. Media is something that we enrich our life with, but it's not the defining purpose in life. Usually, unless you're an artist or if you run a record label or store, obviously it changes things. We are going to talk today about the really fun stuff, because we made dear friends with somebody who wanted to trump 2020 in here and call me a soy boy and stuff, which I mean that's cool. Like I like tofu, uh, but we're going to establish ourselves here. Uh, I do not think art needs to cater to everybody. I do not think it always needs to be comfortable. The thing that gets me, though, is that the people who most regularly tout that sort of an opinion are straight, white, cisgender men, usually in English-speaking countries, or in countries where just a white face is the normal face, the only dominant thing. They're in charge, and they think that their way is just so normal and that everybody else doesn't deserve comfort. But they're uncomfortable with an outside voice. They're uncomfortable with people of color having a role, people of any gender that's not a cisgender male having a say. And so suddenly these people feel that the presence of anybody who's not like them is this weird existential threat, and that they accuse the rest of us of wanting a safe space instead of really just wanting a space at all. And I think it's these fucking clowns that are actually seeking a safe space for their shallow, fearful worldview. And to that, I say, you don't get a fucking safe space. You already wield all the power. I'm not going to give black metal to you. I'm not going to give uh, beer to you. You know, you can be part of these worlds. You should be. I think that this isn't about hating men. This isn't about hating white people. I'm white. That's very, very clear when you look at me. And while I am non-binary, the world is going to look at me as a man, and I'm fully aware of that. I get to enjoy certain securities and experiences that other people simply are shut off from. So this is not about being against anyone so much as this is about ensuring that everyone gets to just enjoy whatever it is they would like to enjoy in life, a fulfilling experience, to engage with art that makes them feel alive, to be part of a community that embraces them rather than turning them away, in the name of some sort of fucking goofy evil and darkness. Evil and darkness rarely, in the rebellious heavy metal sense, I don't think of those things and think, oh yeah, so I should just be cool with a fucking racist or a transphobe or whatever else. That's really unexciting to me. I have, through marriage, to be fair, these are not blood relatives. I have a relative who believes that the Muslims will come to his church to hurt him, so he brings his gun. That is an old man who is a very conservative Christian who is boring as shit and is afraid of people whose skin color is darker than his own. I don't look at that person and think, oh, you're the face of a rebellious, transgressive art form. I think that is this old, useless attitude held by people who are afraid of yielding even the smallest iota of the power they've held for centuries in Europe and since they landed here in the North American continent. And so I think that when we have a community that is radical, as I would think black metal is a radical community. It doesn't have to be radically political. It doesn't even have to agree with me all the time. But it's radical. It is extreme. It is uncomfortable. It is a place we come to feel discomfort sometimes for some of us. I don't need it to resemble that. In fact, I think that is counterintuitive and adds nothing to my experience of this transformative art. It doesn't illuminate anything. You're not shining a light on some untold part of the soul. You're not teaching me anything. You're not challenging me. You're not exposing me to something that's really gonna make me think. We had in a different branch of heavy metal, but still relevant. When Rob Miller of Tau Cross and Amoebics decided to go full Holocaust denier and shit. It's like, dude, you're not opening new doors or challenging us to rethink our reality. Question everything, but like there's a difference between giving way to foolishness and conspiratorial thought of a damaging nature. There's that is what he did. There's a big difference between that and saying, yeah, power should be questioned. People that wield that power are not to be trusted. And I think it's very easy for people to take this very rational, normal thing of challenging authority, and suddenly you begin to pursue the challenge rather than the understanding. And when we challenge things, it should be because we're striving to understand them, not to just give the middle finger to everything like we're a 12-year-old that just discovered punk rock. Uh, you know, uh, and yeah, coming together to be uncomfortable is still coming together. In fact, I think that's very important. I think that it's really easy to build trust and community in a space where we come together and everything feels nice. Have a cup of tea, you're safe here. I think, and that is important. That is good. Let's flip the tape. I also think it's important, though, for us to come together and say, hey, here's this thing that's ugly, but I need to examine it. And to have a community built around that where we can say, yeah, you know what? We're here, we got you. Let's explore this ugliness. Let's get through it together. You know, or if you got to get through it on your own, know that we've got your back because it's community. I don't think that discomfort is a bad thing. I don't think any of us like it. I've been I've had the most uncomfortable year of my life, 2 years in a row. Somehow it got more uncomfortable in 2020 than it did in 2019. Um, and I think it's really easy for us to assume that community only looks like this positive, supportive, uplifting thing, which is an important dynamic. But if I come to you as a community member in whatever sense we're talking, right now I mean black metal, whatever, but like it can be anything. If I come to you as part of my world, as somebody I trust, and I say, hey, I want to explore this ugliness. If you don't have room for me to do that, then I'm not really sure if your tenderness and your gentleness matter that much to me, to be honest. Because if we're only rooted in soft, easy feelings, then we're not going to steel ourselves against the world that inevitably is often cold and uncaring. I think that we can experience some of that coldness together and grow stronger. That's my belief. I'm not a I'm not anything. I'm not a therapist or a doctor or a teacher or anything of value in that regard. But I'm a compassionate person, I'd like to think, who has suffered a lot. Uh, and I've suffered alone and I've suffered with people and I've helped people I care about through their suffering. Um, and I think that's important. So let's see. We got some things that I actually think some really interesting things that I'd like to share. Uh, Marv Kornfpal says, "There's bad actors in any sample, unfortunately, but fundamentally, the extreme metal community is one of the kindest and welcoming I've encountered." I concur. And she follows that with, "It's essentially up to us to keep tabs on things and make sure that this is space and community worth keeping." I couldn't agree more with you. I mean, community is an act. It's something that we build that becomes a structure in a way, or at least a constant. But that constant itself is inherently going to shift, and it requires participation. Um, Janthony says, "I like that way of considering it. Discomfort is a normal part of gaining an understanding of things." And yeah, I mean, I think sometimes, when I was a kid, I liked to climb trees. I learned a lot more about climbing trees from falling out of them than I did from the times where I just scrambled up and down easily. Uh, that sounds like a silly analogy, but I mean that quite literally. I fell out of trees a lot. I lost teeth falling out of trees. Like, I fell out of a lot of trees. That's probably maybe has something to do with the way my head works today. But yeah, it's like, it's or the easy one. You touch that hot stove and you learn from it. Sometimes it's not even about mistakes. It's just about painful things teach us, and beautiful things teach us too. But unfortunately, I imagine that a lot of the things that really help us become who we are in our best form are unpleasant. I hope. I mean, I'd like to be wrong, and maybe I am. I know some very beautiful people whose lives seem to have gone pretty smoothly from my outside perspective. And they're still good human beings who have a lot to offer the world. So perhaps, perhaps what I'm saying is a subset of experiences and a subset of ways that we can get to the same endpoint of being good, supportive, loving people. But especially in an outside community, I do not believe that extreme metal music is full of people who just came here uh, with nothing behind them. I don't know about you, but I was drawn to chaotic, twisted, uncomfortable music because I'm a chaotic, twisted, uncomfortable person. Uh, I've spent a lot of my life hating myself. I've spent a lot of my life not wanting to be alive. And I've found solace in art that reflects that experience, in art that has a fan base that can relate to me. And I mean, to be fair, pop music has its share of sadness too. I think a lot of art in general conveys human experience and pain. I feel like pain and love are kind of two of the biggest themes in a lot of music. So I'm certainly not taking away, like, it's not you have to be part of the transgressive, extreme musical community, but I think especially when you're drawn to those sorts of things, there may be a reason for that. So it's really weird to me that people would come to this sort of misfit art form, this outsider art, as it were, and seek to further ostracize people that share a love for the same thing. I don't get that. Janthony says, I can't remember who said this to me, maybe an art teacher, but failure is a resource. It's how we learn what doesn't work. No, and it's true. I am awful at this. Some of you were tuned into my interview with Liam from Mismore the other night, and we discussed perfectionism a little bit. I nudged him on that at least, and trying things that we're not good at. And I am somebody who absolutely, I really struggle with that. If something does not come naturally to me, I pretty much don't do it, which is not good or healthy, but it's just what it is. And, but to be fair, a lot of the things that I like the most are things that were hard for me that I became proficient at. I have a lot more fun playing the bass guitar than I do writing. Uh, I'm a lot better of a writer than I am a bassist. There's something to be said for that. I mean, I will, I have a small degree of income and clout from writing. Nobody cares or ever will care about something I do when I pick up a bass. That's fine. Jaden says, I found Couch Slut in 2016 and it completely changed the way I listened to music. Then soon after, Futility Report by White Ward. So that shaped my expectations about who I would find in metal. Those are two very, very beautiful things to find. And thank you for sharing that. Now, Couch Slut is, I mean, if you want to talk about art that is born from a place of pain and transforming it into something, that's about as much of that as you can get, right? The things that Megan Sissom does, I mean, she is a stronger, more resilient person than I could be. I have nothing but love and respect for her as a friend and as an artist. I'm lucky to know her and to be somebody that is able to engage with her art. It's very humbling to know someone like that. And yeah, it is some of the most emotionally potent music you can encounter. It's huge. Jank says, I've long been searching for how to free myself of perfectionism. Been learning that often things are just fine for existing, flaws and all. There's things to be learned and appreciated. That's really the hardest thing, is to just be. I spend a lot of time defining myself through an act, even if that act is a failure. in fact, I especially cling to those. I cling to a mistake I made, and I tear into myself. And it's not a useful thing. It's not productive. I don't become better for that. Uh, it would be much better for me to simply accept the moment in its imperfection. I don't know how to do that yet. I'm seeking, I'm striving. I mean, I'm sitting here basically having a group therapy session with you guys on YouTube. Let's be real. It's but it's good. It's important to have that, to do that. And I think especially as we again seek to build a more loving, open space. I hate to call it a safe space because I don't think that term gets to have the potency that it should because of the dilution of it and the ridiculous attacks on the term that have been leveraged against it by people who simply don't understand what that should mean. Um, which is why I now say, well, yeah, there's no fucking safe space for the old guard. Fuck them. But anyway, I really we're gonna sorry. Letting myself not have to be on all the time has been huge in that regard. I spent too much time kicking my own ass over trivialities. It's a constant effort. It is. It really is, and it's not easy. I mean, I'm the worst at it. I'm at a point in my life where everything I'm doing, I just feel like life is throwing lessons at me. And none of these lessons are being handed to me gently. It's not, I'm not tucked in with a comfy blanket and a cup of tea. It's like somebody's throwing a fucking rock at me and there's a note attached. And if I pick up the rock after it's been thrown at me and read the note, maybe I'll get the lesson so they won't throw that rock again. It's brutal. I have felt often lately and not so lately. I often feel like I'm walking through the world on fire, where I have this pain, this extreme experience that is just it will take hold of me. It will really I mean, imagine being on fire, where you just every inch of you feels this, whatever it is, so strongly, and people can see it, and they may wish to help you, but they cannot because if they were to get involved in some way, it might transfer to them. It might burn them. If we're keeping with that analogy, um, it's not easy, but at the same time, it that sensation, that feeling allows me to say, well, nobody can reach in and touch this. They can see it, they can acknowledge it, they can even maybe offer me a kind word from outside of it. But I have to be the one to find a way to put the fire out. And that's really cool. And I think that is a function of community too, is when you can look to your community, find them, and say, hey, I know that you can't fix my life for me, but you see that I'm on fire, right? And they'll say, yeah, you are. It's okay that fire hurts you. It should hurt. It's fire. And then you sit with them and they sit with you, and maybe you work on putting it out and healing those burns. um, I don't think any of us cure one another, but I think that we all show up for one another, and I think that that's really, really important. I really wanted to discuss gender tonight specifically. I know I keep circling to it, and then we keep going elsewhere, and I love it. I mean, by all means, nothing ever has to be linear. And as you can see, it's not like I've written thing. Somebody was talking to me today about writing scripts for videos, and I thought, oh gosh, I cannot imagine scripting something. I'm too off the cuff, and I'm a fucking writer, but I that would be really hard for me. So, like, I just want to say, like, I don't think that I'm special. I don't want to make anything about me, but I also think that I am somebody who I have a social media following. I don't know how or why I got it. I really don't. I think a lot of people just Google black metal and my shit comes out, so they follow me, and then they get mad because I'm a soy boy. But anyway, I think it's important for me to be open and bare as somebody who is visible and maybe a little less concerned with criticism, because there's so many beautiful people I know out there who are more vulnerable or under attack or less loved. I mean, you're not less loved, but maybe they have less access to it. Like, the other day, I had some legal shit to deal with surrounding my disability. And, I said I need love, and I received an outpouring. I know that there are a lot of people who could make a similar tweet, and they don't have that many people who are going to do that, and that's a luxury I have. I'm very, very blessed, hashtag blessed, to be able to say, hey, I need support and receive it. That is something that so many people do not have. So we're going to share my weird, non-linear gender journey, which isn't really a journey because you're always where you are. Kira, I love you. Thank you for having been here tonight. You go have fun with your friends, and if you really wish to tune in again, we're at like the 45-minute mark. You can hop back in some other time. This is always archived on YouTube. That's right. We are keeping my personal life laid bare on the internet for forever. I mean, it's not forever. Eventually, I'll die and won't care anyway. But for a while, this will be here. At least long enough for you to check it out later. Have a nice night. So basically, I'm non-binary. I've been me doing this, living this, since before I knew such a term existed. Learning the term, learning about it was both really, really cool and also really frustrating. I think there's that part of me that's like, man, where the fuck was this when I was young? And I mean, I'm not old now, but I'm in my mid-30s, and I realize that I was such a lonely, confused young person. I'm a lonely, confused old person. But, especially younger. I lived in the middle of nowhere. I didn't have this. I had a dial-up internet connection. I could not come type something out, find my people. I was alone. Almost entirely alone. Just going to take a second, Jenks. Eventually I'll die and won't care anyways, an attitude I keep with some things too. Yeah, I mean, it's not a positive thing necessarily, but there's a lyric in a song from one of my favorite bands. They're called Coil. You might know who they are. I'm obsessed with Coil. There's a song they have where he's, their singer is a very thoughtful, introspective sort of person who his lens on the world was very unique and not like my own, but I've learned from studying his writing. There was this line he had in a song that said, in 10 years' time, who will know, who will care? And I overthink everything, so I think about that shit a lot. But, okay. And it's not positive, but yeah, it's acceptance, exactly. It's like, okay, I need to stop overthinking. I need to stop worrying because time will move on, and this is irrelevant. It's not for me to worry about. So when I think the first time, and I guess we'll put a little here at the 49th minute mark, let's call this a content warning. We're going to talk about bodies and some of the parts of our bodies because that's unfortunately sometimes an inherent talk about gender. I'm not going to talk about sex. I'm not interested in talking about sex. I'm sure that there is somebody who is, that if you'd like to talk about that, they can do that. I'm bashful about that stuff, to put it lightly. I think I remember being maybe 3 years old or younger, maybe 2, taking baths with my younger infant sister, because you're a child, and thinking I've got equipment that she simply doesn't have. Don't like this. Don't want it. What the fuck is this? Which is I think any child is going to be curious about an experience that is not their own. Uh, when I was 7, uh, I I remember distinctly. It was the first time I understood that you could change your gender identity. That you could be not what you were born as. Not what the world designated you to be. I'm sure I'm fumbling on my phrasing, and please forgive me. Uh, I'm imperfect, and I'm learning as I go because you know, I'm new here. Uh, I'm not, but at the same time, yeah. Uh, I remember being 7 years old, and I was in Hawaii for the summer, which is where my mother lived, visiting my mom. And we went to her boyfriend's house, who would become my stepdad for a while. And I remember he'd had, the news on, and they were doing like human interest stories, and mom and him were, I don't know, talking or being in the kitchen or something, or maybe it was even his son's house because he had an adult child who was almost my mother's age. Like this was a much older man she was seeing. But I remember on the television was this program, this kind of again human interest sort of thing, PBS sort of thing, about this woman who transitioned in her 60s, and she was learning how to answer the phone in a voice that would be more socially perceived as a woman's voice. And I remember thinking, being 7, and they danced around things. They talked about going to the doctor and all that. And I remember thinking that it was the sort of thing where I could go to the doctor and have them give me a shot, and I might, become a woman the next day. And this is 26 years ago, and I remember it so vividly. I remember her pretending to answer the door on television, pretending to answer the phone, the things she said. It was one of the clearest memories I have, and I never, now I understand why, but I didn't at the time know why I found that so compelling. Um, and it wasn't until, I grew up with an interest in gothic things, The Cure and all that, David Bowie, people who wore makeup, people who stretched the meaning of their gender expression. And it wasn't until I hit high school that I really realized that I wanted to also toy with that, to express myself beyond the path that I had been told I was meant to walk. And I think that it took a while. For one, I had parents who were loving but concerned, and they really wanted me to be accepted by my peers. And I need to emphasize, they did not care so much about what I did. They just wanted me to be safe and happy and loved. As I think, which is about as good as I can ask for. And when I say parents, I mean my father and stepmother. My mom is her own thing, and I love her dearly. But I remember it was a fight to even be allowed to wear a T-shirt with the band's name on it when I was 14. Gonna take a second to read these. Yeah, you literally had to explain to your parents that estrogen therapy does not change your voice. And I can understand people not understanding these things, but your vocal cords have not been altered. And yeah, folks don't understand or think about these things if they've never had to confront it. It is a cis bubble. And it's one, I think even for people who are not non-binary or gender fluid or questioning or trans, I think it's important to examine our views on gender anyway. It's just part of why I'm doing this. I'm hoping that people who are cisgender, straight, etc., are also hopefully watching and maybe finding empathy or maybe deciding to unsubscribe to my channel. I really don't fucking care. And Jenk, mostly repressed my gender feelings until I realized I accepted non-binary mid to late 20s. There's no wrong time. But so for me, it's like I'm 14. I finally get allowed to wear my System of a Down shirt or some shit. And then at 15, I pushed it a little further, and suddenly I'm only wearing band shirts. And it wasn't until I was 16 I made friends. I was the only goth kid in my high school at first, and so I didn't really have to do that much to be gothy. And then, I remember this other young woman showed up, and she was like one of those like kind of more Victorian-esque sort of people, but she was also very very Christian. So she was a safe version of that sort of stuff, and she was one of a couple friends of mine who helped me uh, get girly things, and she bought me eyeliner and nail polish, and I remember feeling so excited by that. And then I is Long's drugstore a thing everywhere, or is that just California? I don't even remember. I went to this drugstore and bought black lipstick. It was the shittiest black lipstick in the world. I remember feeling terrified to buy it. So again, that was Nemerensis, the Fey Queen that we listened to. I've been talking over it the whole time, but I hope that you enjoyed it, and I hope that you'll look it up on Bandcamp. We're now going to listen to a dungeon synth tape by Dit Svarte Landet and Dante Fever called Our Ancient Lore. It's like a split, but they alternate tracks, and then so it's not like there's one artist side and then the other. They kind of go back and forth. But I remember, I got my lipstick, I had my eyeliner, I had eyeshadow, but I was shit at applying it. I mean, these were also very cheap makeup things. This was not nice stuff, which is fine. You don't need the nicest things when you're learning, and you're going to waste a lot of it anyway. But I got my makeup, and I felt really good. It was nice. I also, and so it's the first day of school, and my outfit, I got a nice jacket, tie. I was inspired by, and I've mentioned them on streams recently because I'm goof. There was this band I was really into called Dead Sea. Dead Z. I'm dead. The word dead, SY. Totally, kind of like gloomy, gothy, dirgy rock with a lot of synthesizers, but they all just wore makeup. So they were in this kind of masculine presentation, but with heavy makeup at the same time. And is this one of those tapes where I just don't have music on it? That would be my luck. Yeah, there's no music on this fucking tape. Okay. Change of plans. Okay. I mean, so be it. Shit happens. So I remember, like I started safely, we'll say. It was meant to be, confrontational in a way, I'm sure, but I was also just dipping my toes, and I was seeing how it felt. Grab a random fucking tape. I don't know what you sound like. We're not going to go with you right now. Yeah, Trollman. Trollman of Wildtopberg. This is like some real uplifting music. It's just like bass and synthesizer. There's not even percussion. It's perfect. Oops, wrong side of the tape, I guess. No, I just didn't put it in right. Please don't soundbite that one line. Sorry. And that's right. You are now thinking about them. And honestly, I listened to their album Commencement the other day because I've been thinking about them lately, and it still rules. But anyway, I basically tried to go to school dressed up like that because I thought I would be so cool. and so cool, of course, meaning like I have no friends and I really don't think I will ever have any. So I did that. It felt good. Eventually, not long after, I decided that it was time for me to get a leather mini skirt and fishnets because I don't know, because I could. I was listening to a lot of AFI, and I looked good. I felt good. I shaved my legs because when you're wearing, fishnet stockings, uh, and you are as hairy of a person as I am, these things are. Yeah, we shave our legs. Uh, I felt I felt comfortable. I felt like I was having fun. At least I was. It didn't mean anything. It meant a lot at the same time, if that makes any sense. Uh, and then my parents, father and stepmother, sat me down, and they said, "Hey, we love you. We're worried about you. Are you gay?" And I was very, very upset by that. Because I thought, well, and they basically sat me down and we were forced to discuss my sexuality. And I didn't want to talk about it. I didn't have anything to say to them. I wasn't dating at all. I wasn't, I mean, if you're struggling to even make friends, you're certainly not out there being like, give me your number. Let's meet up. I totally live at home. Let's hang. I know that plenty of teenagers have plenty of vibrant romantic and sexual lives, and I wasn't one of them. I don't have a romantic life now. I'm not a. I'm not good at that. I'm not good at any of that stuff. Uh, I'm good at loving, but that can be just a friendly thing. That doesn't have to be anything. It just means I love my friends. So like my parents decided that my expression of subverting masculinity or deciding to shed it in a way, meant that I must be gay. And they were trying to come from a place of understanding, but it felt like I was being forced to confess to being something I wasn't really sure about. Like, I don't know. Everybody I've dated was, not a man, so I'm probably not gay. But at that point, I hadn't dated anybody. But like, I don't really think in those terms, and it definitely wasn't something that I was thinking about then. I was just trying to make it through high school without, like, I don't know, deciding to hurt myself, which, to be fair, was a really, really strong compulsion I had at that point in my life. So eventually, they relented. And again, it wasn't hostile. It was something that I would never do to a child if I had one. But I also don't think that they came at it from a place of anything other than really striving to understand. They really wanted to make it clear that they would love me no matter who or what I was, which hasn't always felt like the case, to be fair. Uh, but in terms of gender and sexuality, I've never felt like that was a risk I had to run with them. Like, they don't care, and in a good way, they don't care. When I got tattoos, they cared a lot. That was the problem. You can be whoever you want, just don't get a tattoo. And unfortunately, I have a few. Not a lot, but I have a few. But so that was kind of it for a while. And when I moved out, I continued to be myself, which meant some days I'm just looking like a dude doing dude stuff, but with very, very long hair. Very long hair and no beard. I intentionally didn't shave today because I wanted to be a little uncomfortable. I like being clean shaven. I like being pretty. Like, I intentionally put myself in a place of discomfort because I wanted to have a little bit of that kind of crawling nerve for this, because this is really important to me, which is also why I'm wearing a green shirt. You can't tell, but it is a lovely green shirt, though, isn't it? But, and I was 18, and I moved out from my home region to a different city in California called Fresno. I lived in Fresno for about 4 weeks. And for somebody that didn't know what I was doing, didn't have like a cell phone or anything. I tried. I tried to apply for a couple jobs. I had a room for a month. Because I saved like $1,000 from my shitty high school job. I basically Fresno is a much more conservative area than where I'm from, which has its own conservative bent too. Everywhere does. I grew up in the fucking woods in Northern California, so there were a lot of hippies, but there were also a lot of people that you would expect to find in the mountains and the woods. But I was safer. There were more weirdos where I grew up, more people who are not normal, straight and narrow folks. But in Fresno, I had my first brush with aggression for existing in a fashion that other people did not like. It took me about less than a week of being there to find the local hardcore scene, because it's what you do. And so word of mouth, some kids told me about this show that was happening somewhere about a mile and a half from where I was staying. And again, this is before the age of me having any technology. I didn't have anything. I just kind of figured out generally where it was, and I decided to walk there. And I'm walking through Fresno, California, which is basically a series of strip malls and the kind of communities that pop up around them. There was a man who saw me, and because I'm going to a hardcore show, I decided to get dressed up in my skirt and fishnets, and in my fishnet shirt too. You gotta have the fishnet shirt. It's a good fucking look. And he was drinking beer on his porch, and he decided to catcall me. I didn't respond because I'm not that bold. I'm not gonna be like, fuck you. I didn't want to do anything to have an interaction with this man. And this is like at 3 in the afternoon, 4 in the afternoon, because this is an all-day show. This is not nighttime. This is broad daylight. This man is drinking beer on his porch. Realizes that he has catcalled somebody that he did not wish to have catcalled, and he decides, I guess, that he has the time in his day to follow me, and he follows me for a couple of blocks. Maybe it wasn't even that far. Maybe it was to the end of the street. It felt like it. It felt like a long way. But what I do know is that he finished his beer and threw the bottle at me. And it didn't hit me, but it shattered, and it startled me. It was very scary to have a man yelling at me, and I'm and drinking, and at the time I was straight edge, so I also was intimidated by the thought of a drunk man. Maybe he wasn't drunk, I don't know, I'm not going to judge that, but everything about that situation, it was fear, and it was not where I wanted to be. But I made it to the show, and I spoke to some people there, some of the nice kids there. I was a kid too. I'm not saying it like I was older than them, but and I felt okay. I got home okay. I had a good time at the hardcore show. It was great. I think I ate a fucking shitty tofu dog and vented to some girl that was wearing a grindcore shirt or something. It was okay, but it was really rattling, and it also was one of the first times that you always know what other people go through on a cerebral level, but I was able to take it beyond empathy and say I've actually experienced now just a fraction of what women experience, of just pure rage-fueled male sexual aggression. And again, I'm sitting here 15 years later recounting this. This is not. It's a luxury for me that I can just recount these things, and count them on a hand, because for many people that would just be a Thursday, or whatever. I have nothing. I have no delusion that my experiences that I'm sharing here are special, or that I have suffered so much. I've had a luxury to shed this stuff. But anyway, Fresno and I didn't work out. I had no idea what I was doing there. I don't know why I went there. I literally picked somewhere where I knew nothing and just didn't fucking figure it out. And I went back home to my hometown and did different shit there. Uh, I met a nice girl when I was in Fresno, and she and I dated for a while. She's a wonderful human being, So I guess that was nice. It was nice to meet somebody nice. Um, really, you can meet nice people most places. I think. I hope. But then maybe a year and a half later. Yeah, actually, it was about a year and a half later. No, not even about a year later, because it was right before I went to visit that girl in Fresno again. Because we were an item and living a couple hundred miles apart. Um, I I remember I went. I had some friends who I loved dearly who were a little more outgoing, a little more party than me, and I by this point I was no longer straight edge. I'd started drinking a little bit. Um, and my friend, who's still a friend of mine to this day, an incredible human being. I'm not going to name her because that's irrelevant. But one of the only friends I had in high school, who maintained a friendship with me into adulthood. We had nothing in common, but everything in common, like philosophically. So it was just one of those people you'd get together and just shed ideas. She was more of a party animal than I was, and she was desperate to get me out in the world, which is really good for me in a way. But some of the places she took me weren't great, and she took me to this party, and I thought, I'm going to a party. I'm gonna look lovely, and again, makeup. I don't even think I was wearing anything, feminine clothing wise. I think I just had nail polish, maybe some eyeliner, probably not even lipstick. Because I mean that's a lot to do, especially if you're gonna be drinking and have to reapply. I just fuck that. So I think it was pretty light. The sort of shit people would jokingly, toss off as guy liner or what have you. But there was a man at this party who it was his apartment, big, strong, bald man who was probably like selling weed or some shit. Like, he was clearly a pathetic shithead. Um, he decided at first that I was a cop because I didn't really want to drink, and definitely didn't want to smoke weed. So I drank a little to make him feel like I wasn't a cop. Cool, whatever. And after a while, he decides that I must be gay, and that's a real problem that I'm gay. And he decides to kick me down the stairs of his apartment, which I'm sitting at the top of. Like it's not like I'm just like there talking to him. Like clearly he didn't like me. I wanted nothing to do with him. So I got kicked down the stairs for somebody deciding that I was gay, and clearly I was so interested in his ugly ass. That was the last time I wore makeup really in public. It was something that I didn't feel safe doing again. I didn't want, if that could happen to me when I was around a friend who I loved and trusted, I didn't want to find out what would happen to me in another circumstance when I may not have had luck on my side. And so, and again, this is before I really spent time on the internet looking at things and talking to people, before there was, I mean, we're talking like gay marriage had just been legalized in California. And even then, it was really on rocky ground. It like got legalized and then unlegalized and shit. Like the conversations surrounding these things were so different culturally that it's really hard to convey unless you're my age and then you know exactly what I'm talking about. And basically, though, I grew a beard. I got these tattoos. I sang in a death metal band. I mean, and I liked all those things. Not the beard, but I liked being in a heavy metal band. I liked having tattoos. I love all of that. But I formed an illusion of masculinity to protect myself from the danger of being me in the world. And especially because the people that I had romantically been linked to were, I'm not going to judge or gauge, but I'm going to say I perceive them to be straight women, straight cisgender women who wanted a man. And I didn't want to deviate too much from that, lest I lose the ability to be loved by these people who I wanted to love me. And so even though, for years of my life, I've really felt as though, masculinity is not for me, it's also something that I've put on like this, like your uniform that you wear to go to work because it's, the company's dress code. And now I'm here in my 30s, experiencing a period of literally for the first time in 12 years, maybe, that I do not live with a romantic partner. And that I do not have a romantic partner. And I'm thinking about all of the ways in which I maybe changed, kind of tweaked, censored things so that I would be the man. And I'm not the man. I've never been the man. I've never liked being misheard. Again, we can look at my fascination at the age of 7 with that weird television program. It's not weird, but it was weirdly fascinating. And think, well, gosh, I also think that I would make a horrible woman. I'm not a woman. I'm not a man. It's like I'm like that Prince song. I'm not a woman. I'm not a man. I don't remember, like something you'll never understand. I fucking forget it. But like that's. I always remember when I was younger, before there was any discourse of that sort. I always thought like if there was a form, where you tick the box, male, female. I always wish that there was a none of the above. Other always felt weird. Everything feels weird. And life is weird. And I'm not sharing any of this from a place of pain. I think it should be pretty clear that I'm pretty comfortable and confident sharing these stories. There was a lot of pain in them in the times in which they happened, and I really wish that a younger version of me had a stronger community of people who, could share these things with me, or even just reach out in a loving way to guide someone like that along. And it makes me so happy for young kids, whether they're just genderqueer or anything else. Just I'm really glad. The world is still harsh and cruel, but I'm glad that there's at least discourse. There wasn't a name that I knew of to just be like, I don't want to be any of this. Isn't there a way to? Can't I opt out? Can't I just do this? Like, when I was 16, 17, and really starting to like look at that shit, there wasn't. If there was a conversation, it was being held in music communities, and I lived somewhere where there wasn't one. It was being held, it was being conducted via zines. I had never heard of a zine when I was a teenager. And that does not diminish the value of those resources. Obviously, there were radical communities surrounding this shit before I was even born. But one of the few good things to come from things like Tumblr and Twitter is the capacity for people to spread this information, to connect with like-minded people who would have been completely adrift otherwise. I'm really glad for that. And in case it's not clear, after half an hour of talking about this, Black Metal and Brews is a place where if you are, there are a lot of people who watch this channel who I will describe as very sweet, lost young men, and they are more than welcome here. This is not like this is some place where we are against men. If anything, I'm glad to provide a place for you. I'm often a listener. Sometimes people send me DMs or emails. There's a lot of people I think who live in places where maybe they don't have a friend that likes the music they like. I'm your friend. I like the music you like. Let's talk about it. But I especially want to make it clear in a community, in a world that for some reason foolishly decides to alienate people who are outside of the straight cisgender white male norm. And I don't think that's the norm, but like it asserts itself as such. This is especially a place where you are welcome, you are loved, you are part of a community that I wish to build, and I don't wish to put myself at the center of it so much as I've got no choice. Like I can't. I mean, imagine if I like hired somebody else to do this for me. Like I could do that, but like, I mean, I couldn't. I don't have money. But you know what I mean. Like I feel like I started writing about black metal 8 years ago, and suddenly I have people that pay attention to me on the internet. And I feel a responsibility to extend to them the love and grace that the world hasn't always extended to them, to us, to people who do not fit in. Whether you don't fit in because you're part of, black metal, and that like, and let's be real, like it can be alienating to be part of an artistic community that nobody around you gets. People belittle you. I'm not gonna you're not I'm not gonna really consider you oppressed if you're just a metalhead, like but at the same time there's a loneliness that comes with not being able to share your interests with others, and that's real, that's undeniable. We're here for you, we're here for each other. But I just want to make it clear, if you're coming in here and you want to bring anything other than openness, then you're going to find a wall very quickly, because we don't allow in people who would not allow us in. We can't. It's not a safe way to be. It's not an acceptable way to be. If you truly don't understand some of this stuff, like if you've watched this far, whether you're watching now in silence and thinking you've got some questions, or even if I've said something that you think sounds wrong or bad, by all means, my email is easy to find. It's blackmetalandbrews@gmail.com. My Twitter is easy to find. All of these things are easy to find. You can contact me. And as long as you're not coming at me in complete bad faith, I will try and build a bridge with you. I may regret saying that, but I think it's important for us for those of us who have the energy, the wherewithal, and the visibility, to try and explain to people who maybe have good intentions and not a full understanding. Like, if you want to talk about this shit with me, I'm here to have that conversation. There may be times where I'm too tired to. A lot of times people will contact me and I just simply don't have the energy, or maybe I'm doing something, and I often feel really bad because I will forget to get back. Specifically, I'm looking at you, Jank. I know that sometimes you contact me and I have failed to reply because I'm like, I read the message while I'm like walking, and then when I get home I forget to get back, so I apologize, but I try to form something where we can connect. Because I think it's important. And I've been seeing a lot of these, by the way, I do see every comment people are leaving. I'm not ignoring any of you. I just don't always know how to respond to everything as it flows. But Jaden, you've shared something interesting and something that's valuable to me to comment on. Jaden, they say, I was such a latecomer to metal and heavy music, it's funny to me to think of myself as part of the community, but I still keep ending up here. And I think that that's interesting because I don't feel that this isn't a job. You don't get tenure. If you arrive with a passion for something and a desire to explore it, to understand it, or to share a love for it, then you're part of it. I don't think that we collectively benefit from keeping people out who would like to share our interests. And I'm using kinder words, but like I mean, really, elitism is a fucking plague. It does not help us. Um, I do understand that there are times where people who are new to something may decide to try to prop themselves up as some sort of figurehead or authority, and I understand why that will cause some to bristle. Uh, if you show up today and you cannot speak with knowledge and passion about something, but you want to make yourself a fixture in it, I would be skeptical of that. But if you just are here to learn and share and love something and talk about it with us, it's wonderful. I mean, like I've been listening to extreme music for about 20 years, more than 20 years, I guess. I don't. It depends what you qualify as extreme music, you know. Like, and I don't care to get into the semantics myself, but like I've been listening to this music for a very long time, and I don't even feel that I'm qualified to have a platform like I do, but I do, and so I'm gonna use it for this shit that matters to me, that matters to us. Like I feel like I've said this a few times, but like I have had friends who I love. Some of them who have been other people who write about black metal. I'm not going to name names because I'm not trying to make this. I don't want to drag anybody into this because I feel like this conversation is inevitably going to be pulled up and get trolled or spread around in a negative way. And I'm cool with that, but I don't want to put anybody else's name on it. A good friend of mine is mostly detached from black metal now after having been very involved because they felt there was too much hate. That's fair. It is understandable to say this is exhausting. It's poisoned. I can't enjoy it. Nobody's making you stay here, and I don't think that you have to. But for me personally, I cannot and will not yield ground and let those people have a safe space in black metal. If you're a Nazi, that's very clear. You don't fucking belong anywhere in the world. There should not be a single place where you feel comfortable espousing those views and taking actions, the kind of actions that those views lead people to take. If you are a misogynist, there should not be a place in this world where you are made to feel like that's okay. If you are a racist, there should not be a place in this world where you are made to feel that's okay. Perhaps you're noticing a theme. If you are a transphobe, there should not be a place in this world where you are made to feel that that is okay. If I could go on at length. Black metal, by the nature of its dangerous impulse, will draw people like us, and it will also, by nature, draw people who are drawn to chaos and destruction from I would say, a more selfish and self-involved standpoint, more of that libertarian bullshit. It is vital to me that we do not let them believe that they can show up and have free reign of things. It's simply not an option to me. I will not allow that. I may be screaming into the void, 20 years from now by myself, because goodness knows I peaked 3 years ago or more. I'm already obsolete in the world of black metal. I don't give a shit. But at the same time, if I can help build up anything positive, then I will keep doing this. I'm working to use this channel more and more to be a force of good. And not that I think it's ever been a force of evil, but I've allowed it to just be a place for, hey, cool music, and I mean, it will always be that. I think sometimes we have to have a heavy talk, but if we only have heavy talks, then it's not comfortable or good either. There's a balance. There will be times where I come here and we just fucking hang out and have fun, because that's important too. We need to be able to be firm in our stance, to be intense, radical, kind. But we also have to relax. So that's still going to be at the core here. But I'm preparing some episodes of this that will be a little more guided, not scripted, not rehearsed, but themed, where we talk about real shit that affects real people in the communities, specifically of extreme metal and craft beer, and the other communities that intersect with them, because nothing exists in a vacuum. People will tell me not to be political, but the very act of existing is political. Everything you do can and will be politicized, whether or not you decide for it to be. And if you remain idle, there are plenty of shitheads that you do not like who will take your idleness and assume that you're complicit, or at least don't give a shit about what they're doing. So, to those people, I say you have no space. I will not let you have it. And I know some of you saw the troll and the Ms. Moore thing the other night, and it was funny. It was pathetic, and I love thinking that individual wasted 45, 50 minutes of their life commenting on my YouTube thing and watching me talk to somebody they didn't even want to see me talk to. I mean, hell, if you are really that bored or that hateful, waste your time on me, because you're not going to hurt me. Do it. Throw your rocks, throw your daggers. Be a complete asshole to me. I can handle it. There are plenty of people out there who really don't need it, and I would rather it come my way. I'll fucking talk to my therapist if it gets really bad. We're fine. There are so many other things in my life that bother me so much more. I really don't give a shit. That said, most of you who are here, if not all of you tonight, you're here because you give a shit. You're here because you like this music, but you're also invested in human decency, and thank you for that. I really don't know what else to say. I was. And this is what happens when these things are unscripted. I was not sure. I wasn't sure the trajectory this would take. I'm glad I got to share my story. And I think, like any story of that nature, it doesn't have like a resolution. It's a process still. Like today, where am I? What am I doing? Well, I'm still being Ben, still existing, and I'm still uncomfortable, but I'm finding who I am and trying to love that person. So, I mean, I like sharing with you. I like being here with you. I'm also exhausted all the time. I wear myself out doing this. But it matters. Thank you for this comment. It says, I appreciate you not giving any attention to the troll the other day. You kept the show focused on what mattered. That's my intent. If I think that somebody's coming and trolling in a way that's harming the other viewers, it'll be different. But if you're only trying to hurt me, you can't. I have been through so much more than you could ever give me in a comment section. It just doesn't even matter. I know people who have the comments turned off on YouTube for a good reason. I can't, because there's so many good things that come in here. I'm too interested in what you guys have to say to ever shut things out. And when we choose to allow the entire world in, we're allowing the entire world in. And thankfully, nobody watches my YouTube channel. I have like 500 subscribers, and every single one of you is appreciated. I'm grateful you're here. But at the same time, I have no delusions that I'm visible or a celebrity or any of that shit. There are people I know who have YouTube channels. Like my friend Mike has like 60,000 people follow his YouTube channel. What the fuck, Mike? I cannot imagine the that feeling being under the microscope that you must have. That scrutiny, that just people not leaving you alone. Like what the fuck? I don't have that. I have a few very beautiful, dedicated people who show up here. Most of whom I know on a first name basis. But some of you have my phone number and text me. Like that's the level we're on here. I love it this way. Maybe if you do it on the bigger way, you make a living doing it, that'd be nice, but that's not me. I don't even know. Like, one of my friends was telling me to, like, edit something in post-production. I'm like, post-production? Like, I either do these live or I film them on my phone and just upload them directly from my phone. I have no idea how you would ever edit a video. Get the fuck out of here. Video editing. I mean, to be fair, it's beautiful when they do it. I just don't know how, and I'm not ready to learn it yet. Maybe that's a personal growth thing for next year. If anybody's got anything they'd really like to share, I realize I've been very vulnerable. This has been a very Ben-centric thing, and I actually feel really kind of. I hope it's clear that I'm trying to form a connection and not just be like, here's my story. Let me monetize my life for content. Like, I'm not trying to mine my own experiences for the almighty content curation, because if I was doing that, I would have pitched Vice or something and gotten them to pay me a couple $100 for this. But I'm not putting a price tag on my experiences, and I wanted to connect with you. I hope that that's clear. I hope that you see that, feel that, experience that. Today I lately have struggled to write in a creative way. Like, I write reviews of music, sure, but like, I used to write poetry and lyrics to songs and stuff, and I've struggled with that. Today, I wrote something for my lost younger self. Not a self that I lost, but the younger me who was a very lost person. I'm not going to recite it to you or anything, but it flowed out effortlessly. Just the words of love that I did not receive when I most needed them. And nobody knew what I was going through to offer me that. I was alone by design. I was not alone because I was unloved. So I felt very confident in that, and in doing that, I felt it was very important to then try and bring some of that love and grace and bring it to you. I know that many of the folks who joined tonight, who I will not out, are not straight cisgender people, and I love you all. I think you're very beautiful, brave people. And you're not brave for existing. I hate that fucking rhetoric, but I've seen your bravery in different aspects of your lives that you've chosen to share with me. And I am not a brave person. I'm a very fearful, timid person. I live my whole life basically on the internet. I don't live out in the real world very often, but I'm learning to. And so, just as I hope that I've given you a little bit of something to grab onto tonight, I hope that you know that I'm inspired by knowing all of you. And I think that at this point, we're going to call it a night. That said, the night is not over. It's Friday night, and it's not even 9 p.m. here in New York. If you're feeling anything from this and would like to talk, I'm here. If you're feeling something that has nothing to do with this and you'd like to talk, I'm here. Let's talk. You all know how to get in touch with me one way or another, and I'm here for that. Thank you for being real, genuine, and vulnerable with me. It's been really nice. Next Wednesday is the next interview episode of Black Metal and Brews. I will be joined by Mizmor, once again by ALN of Mizmor. Trying to, this guy. We're going to be joined by ALN of Mizmor, as well as MSW from the band Hell, and Nate Myers, also of the band Hell, and Eternal Warfare Records. If you're not familiar with those artists but are familiar with Mizmor, I hope that you are as excited as I am. All three of them are people I would consider friends, so there will be some of that familiarity and camaraderie. They are intelligent, funny people who also make some of the most emotionally devastating music I've ever heard. And I don't think that any of them have done anything like this except for Liam from Mizmor this week with me. It is an extreme honor. I don't have a flyer made for it yet, so you're getting the sneak peek. Yeah, we're gonna be talking a lot about the natural relationship between Hell and Mizmor, and how those two have grown together over the years. Uh, if you know, if that's of interest to you, it's of interest to me, so we're gonna do it. But you should join us if you'd like. Um, I don't have much else to say. If you like what I'm doing, I'm on Patreon. It's a link below. Follow me on social media. You can like and subscribe if you'd like to subscribe and like, but you don't have to. It doesn't hurt my feelings if you don't, because again, I like to connect. I don't need anything from you, but I'm honored that anybody gives a shit about anything I'm saying or doing, and it really means a lot to me. In ways that even as a writer and a thinker of words, I can't always articulate. So thank you. You are all so lovely. You've had so many kind things to say. In like, it'll take me like 3 minutes to clean up from this because I've got like a stool here and a chair, and neither of these belong to me. They're my roommates. And then, and I've got to clean up my room a bit, and then I'll be online. So if anybody wants to talk to me, I'd love to talk to you. In fact, I'd prefer to talk to people because, Jesus, I've just been very vulnerable on the internet for almost 2 hours. So, love to you all. Be good to yourselves. Be good to each other. This is Black Metal and Brews. See you in a few days. Cheers.